Good evening, interweb. Welcome all to Nettlefest 2021. This particular fest of the nettle is hosted by the Bramble Permaculture Network. We started in 2012, just really around the time when Occupy was kicking off, when we only had the banks to deal with and the wars, the good old days. And we just wanted to do something constructive really in our community, learning skills, supporting people, gardening, that kind of thing. So we had kind of a number of objectives that we set for the group, two of them being, one, we wanted to study our natural plants, our native plants that are around us, and what function they performed in the environment as a whole, and what we could use them for ourselves, how we could make things from them, what they contained. And the other objective was to look at staple crops, what viable staple crops we could grow in our locality, really as an extension of looking at food sovereignty and seed sovereignty and that kind of bigger picture. So that then kind of brought us round to the nettle, and we've been dancing with the nettle ever since then. So we've been studying it since then, looking at its various uses for food, fibre and medicine, and making whatever we can with it, experimenting with it. And this is, I believe, our 4th Nettlefest. We've had 3 real world ones, and that kind of came about through us seeing a video of a community in Canada, and they were holding a nettle festival. It does seem like a really great idea. A big element of it, as is the group as a whole, is community, and a lot of these skills that we kind of share with this are things that people used to do as a group in the community, and a lot of that's gone. So yes, so obviously we've got this onslaught on all levels at the minute, entering as we are the second silent spring. So I'm certainly feeling it anyway. So it's from where we are with what we've got, as always, and we wanted to do something, adapt to the change, keep focused, and do something constructive and inclusive. Something grounded and practical, but also creative and fun. So we're going to be doing stuff over the weekend. So we want to do some full-on nettle immersion. So I think you should drink it or eat it or pick it or do something with it. Make some cordage. So it'd be really cool. Everyone should do nettle stuff and then hashtag Nettlefest. That would be really cool. So we just want to celebrate this natural, sustainable, abundant local resource. Nettle, obviously it's notable for its environmental uses, as well as it being highly nutritious and having numerous other applications. So even this online event really is community minded, to enable us all to come together, support each other, share skills, strengthen our links and create a real network that develops happy, healthy, creative lives for all. But we're flying by the seat of our pants because it's by the people for the people. So this is what we've got going on tomorrow. I'm going to do another Facebook Live about harvesting and storing nettles. And then we've got Colleen, who is from the amazing Nettles for Textiles group, that's just a wealth of massive knowledge. We're going to be running her video on using fibres the low-cost way, which is great for us. That's how we always work in our group. On purpose sometimes. And then, what else we got? So then at 1 o'clock, Helena's coming on and she's doing a drum journey with nettle. So, and she is asking people if they maybe drink some nettle before that. That would be really cool. We need a drum. Then a bit later on I'm going to come back on that, so I'm going to do that at 3 and talk about making products with nettles, just some basic stuff that everyone can do. And then at 4 we're going to do Annie's video. That's going to be a YouTube premiere, and she's showing you how to make Swedish death nettle cocktails, which are really nice. They've got nettle beer in, and I don't even like beer, but I like nettle. I don't even drink alcohol, but I actually do like nettle beer. They're really nice. So yeah, and then we're going to be having some stuff going on Sunday as well, which I'll run through towards the end of the day tomorrow. So yeah, so just tonight I just wanted to open it really and run down what was going to be happening, and then I wanted to read this story. I don't know if anyone's aware, but I did declare the Nettle epoch at the beginning of last year, and I think it is quite very appropriate, to be honest, for where we are at the minute. So this is a little story that I found in a bus shelter late one night. Yeah, it was just there. So I'm going to read the first part now, and then the second part at the end of the weekend. So yeah, this is the Nettle Epoch 2020, and it starts with a quote from Ecclesiastes. I know I'm not going to be able to pronounce any of these words. Anyway, for wisdom, like money, is a shelter. The advantage of knowledge is that wisdom preserves the life of its owner. Baal rode in high on the back of the east wind over a bleak and torrid landscape. It was eons of so-called time since he had traversed these currents, and the alien nature of this earthly realm, with its dense matter and tangible tension, did not go unnoticed to him. However, the planets and such had aligned, cause and effect, an immutable law to which all in this universe are beholden to. The affirmation had arrived on the ether, and so, with much effort, he had emerged from the materia prima and begun his descent, the pressure building from above and below as he travelled. Meanwhile, far, far below, 12 lone travellers, each on their own individual paths, who were quite unaware of all this, save for wondering why the hairs on the back of their necks suddenly stood up without warning, and goosebumps appeared on their arms. Just the cold and fatigue, I'm sure, they all reasoned. Each had been travelling across this misty isle, far from any villages or settlements, their quests known only to themselves. After journeying all day, dusk was creeping over the horizon, changing the vista and the tracks on which they travelled. Weariness had begun to sneak over them, from their aching feet to their tired legs, and upwards into their minds. But where in this inhospitable land could they rest? And they each one cursed that they had not the foresight to ensure they had a suitable place to lay their heads this night. However, in this inhospitable void, there was a crossroads, and there was in fact a dweller at this place in between. This individual had built a sanctuary there to provide shelter and sustenance for travellers and seekers, for those who needed to rest when weary from their travels, those who needed to replenish mind, body and spirit before they continued on their path. A path where you could linger at the crossroads a while and ponder on which was the right direction to take so as not to cover old ground. A small stone inn called the Wurgula lay adjacent to the crossroads. It was covered in parts by a rambling rose, and it had thick, ornately carved oak shutters at the windows. The courtyard out front was surrounded at the edges by huge bramble thickets and patches of tall, majestic nettles, standing to attention like warriors on the battleground. In the centre of the courtyard, there was the welcome sight of fire, burning brightly in the foreboding wilderness. So it was that one by one, the 12 shadows arrived and gathered around the fire, grateful for its warmth, their hollow stomachs aching to taste some of the rich boar, mushroom and sage stew that bubbled in a large iron pot suspended on a tripod over the fire, sending coils of smoke, bright sparks and a delicious scent up into the air. There began whispers among them, as they were none too sure of where they had alighted, and felt all of a sudden fearful and vulnerable. Suddenly, a movement in the twilight. A figure emerged and moved forward to stoke the flames and stir the pot. "Welcome," said she. "Who are you?" the 12 inquired. "Where are we?" they wondered. "It is of no consequence where you are or who I am really. We promote verbs over nouns around these parts," she declared. "But as seekers, you should know this. I embody the line of knowledge, the masculine and the feminine as one. I am the keeper of the flame, the stoker of internal foundries, the one who dwells in between. Some call me Titchener, some call me Nuifree, others the Nettle Lady, yet others call me Idis. I am of the clan MacFarlane, and I stand on the shoulders of giants." "You are safe here," she told them, and so they all allowed themselves to relax. Just a little. These were strange times after all, and they remarked to each other how it was almost as if they couldn't trust their own eyes any more. "Do not doubt your own power, my friends," the Nettle Lady urged. "Intuition plus the ability to clear and maintain your own internal landscape is imperative in these times." She continued, "Remember this, the true price of freedom is eternal vigilance." They cast glances around at each other, but did not know what to say. So they ate, watching the fire and the sky. They talked among themselves of their respective lives, homes and families, of their travels fair and foul, of helpful strangers and tricksters. As they chatted and laughed and smiled, a camaraderie grew between them until they felt familiar to each other, as if they had met before. If only they knew that directly above them, right over the crossroads, flew Baal, and so too, rising up to meet him, in a mass of green, black and orange, swirling and writhing as it came, the earth serpent, flying down from above, hurtling and tumbling like Thor's hammer, yellow and golden, came the lightning serpent. They met there, 1 and the 3, eye contact. Gradually, energy building to form the eye of the storm, a triad containing the spark in which contained all. It had been brought to this place of limbo to fill the void, for nature abhors a vacuum. The ether swelled and created a potential for change, movement and magic. And so it was that the wind blew fiercely, the thunder roared and the lightning cracked sharply. Far, far below, the stars shone brightly, and a purple streak crept over the inky sky. The air pressure dropped, and they observed a low growling noise in the distance. A vibration could be felt. The rumbling grew closer, and big, fat drops of rain began to fall slowly, at first, but then ever faster and heavier, until the rain was lashing down upon them. The very earth itself shook, and the heavens opened, and a downpour the likes of which had not been seen since the days of Noah began. And then, all of a sudden, they were on guard again. "You told us we were safe here," they cried. "Do not be afraid," said she. "No, you are protected," the Nettle Lady instructed them. Then suddenly came a flash of bright white lightning. It burst from the heavens, which illuminated the whole scene for a few brief seconds as if it were day. The birds fell silent, and Carnanos stirred. Something immense was coming, that much was certain. Swiftly and deftly, the Nettle Lady placed a heavy iron lid on the stew pot. She shouted at the 12 to follow her to the inn and the sanctuary which lay within. Instinctively, they all ran towards the shelter. The dweller at the crossroads swung open the heavy oak door for them to enter. For reasons unknown, they hesitated. "Do not dwell on the threshold, my friends," said she. "Sied mila falcha." So one by one, the 12 shadows did indeed cross the threshold.